Welcome to our series of diverse videos about Jesus. In this specific series of 6 videos, where we talk about calmness, we will discuss the teachings of Jesus and the power of calm. Shall we begin? Have you ever imagined being unjustly accused and felt that almost immediate urge to defend yourself, to prove that you are right? All of us, at some point, face situations where we feel the need to fight, to demonstrate our innocence, or to correct others' mistaken perceptions of us. This impulse to react quickly can bring out strong emotions like anxiety and frustration, and often we end up saying too much or acting impulsively. Now, think about how Jesus acted when he was unjustly accused. He, who had the truth on his side and could easily have exposed his accuser's lies, chose to remain silent. During his trial before Pilate, despite the hostility and accusations he faced, he did not defend himself. Even with all the evidence in his favor, Jesus remained calm and silent. Imagine the scene. Jesus stands before Pilate, having already been betrayed, humiliated, and mistreated. The crowds cried out for his crucifixion. The atmosphere was filled with hostility and pressure. And yet, through it all, he did not let himself be driven by the need to respond. Pilate, impressed by Jesus' behavior, questioned him directly, but he chose silence. He refused to speak, not saying a single word in his defense. This moment holds an impressive spiritual depth and goes beyond what most of us could comprehend. How can someone remain silent when their very life is at risk? How can someone choose to stay calm and serene when unjust accusations pile up? The answer lies in Jesus' unwavering faith in God's plan. He knew that his mission and purpose did not depend on the accusations or Pilate's decisions. Jesus trusted that God's justice would prevail, even if human justice failed. This attitude of silence and serenity is a lesson for our daily lives. How often do we encounter unjust criticism, misunderstandings, and hasty judgments? It is common to feel the urge to react immediately, seeking to justify ourselves or prove our worth. But Jesus shows us an alternative, a path of power and wisdom that involves silence. He teaches us that not every battle needs to be fought with words. In many situations, silence is the most powerful defense we can have, as it reflects inner peace that is not shaken by others' opinions. Practicing silence, especially in moments of pressure, reveals our trust in God. When we choose not to respond immediately to an accusation or provocation, we show that our identity does not depend on what others think, but on what God knows about us. Just as Jesus remained calm before Pilate, we too can learn to keep calm and trust that, in due time, the truth will prevail. Jesus, by choosing silence, also demonstrated that we do not need to justify ourselves constantly. Often, silence speaks louder than any defense. This confident silence was so impressive that even Pilate, a man accustomed to confrontations and judgments, was deeply impacted. Jesus' calmness and serenity disarmed him, revealing a confidence so intense that it transcended human understanding. This lesson invites us to rethink how we react to adversity. What would happen if, instead of always responding or justifying our actions, we embraced silence as an act of faith? What would happen if we trusted more in God and less in the need to control what others think of us? When we let God guide our reactions, we practice trust and cultivate inner peace. Jesus' silence was not empty, but full of meaning. This silence was an expression of his absolute trust in God and the mission he had to fulfill. He knew his life did not depend on unjust accusations, but on the purpose God had placed in his heart. Jesus' choice of silence was not merely an absence of words, but a demonstration of spiritual strength. This approach challenges us to see silence with new eyes. We often believe that silence is weakness, or that remaining silent means accepting injustice. However, Jesus' example teaches us that silence can be an intentional and powerful choice, a way to resist the temptation to respond impulsively and to keep peace in our hearts. In addition to knowing that no word would truly be heard, when Jesus said nothing to Pilate in his defense, he was showing that he did not need to prove his innocence. He knew the truth was on his side, and his serenity was a way of demonstrating that his trust was in something greater than human judgment. This silence, therefore, becomes a symbol of his absolute faith in God and his plan. By remaining silent, Jesus also teaches us that we do not need to defend ourselves at every moment. Not every battle requires an immediate response. Often, silence is a demonstration of strength, as it reveals an unshakable inner peace and trust in God that goes beyond words. When we trust that God is working, even in the most unjust situations, we can choose our moments wisely instead of being driven by impulse. This kind of calmness is not a passive posture, but a demonstration that we trust God knows our hearts and that, in the right time, the truth will be revealed. Jesus, at a decisive moment before being crucified, chose not to speak up. He knew he had to go through that trial for humanity and that no additional word would change what was destined to happen. His attitude reveals not only his deep wisdom, but also his unshakable trust in God. Drawing a parallel with our own lives, this attitude of Jesus does not teach us to remain silent about everything, nor to avoid standing up for ourselves or expressing our opinions. On the contrary, it teaches us the importance of discerning the right moments to speak and, when necessary, how to speak. Wisdom lies in knowing that, at times, silence and calm are more powerful than any rushed or impulsive word. Thus, we must act with discernment, understanding that there are situations where our words can have a great impact, and others where silence is the best way forward. If this message touched you and gave you a new perspective on the power of silence and serenity that Jesus taught us, know that this is just the beginning. This is the second episode in a special 6-video series where we will explore in depth how the calmness of Jesus can transform our lives and how we handle daily challenges. If you would like to suggest any topics about Jesus, write them in the comments. And if you want to follow each teaching and learn how to apply this peace in your life, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. This way, you will be notified whenever a new video in the series is available. Thank you for your company, and we'll meet again in the next episode of this journey of faith and serenity.